I'm going to limit myself as a fighter just because there's a possibility that we fight. That just doesn't make sense to me. There's the potential's there, yeah.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
You know, one thing that sticks out about you is that you seem to not have any problems getting sponsors. You kind of, you know, pick up sponsors pretty easily. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that have hard time. You know, sometimes you see guys get fights and they're asking for sponsors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like putting it out there. Like, what's the secret?
So a lot of my sponsors are people that I've met throughout my life, and they kind of just like want to support me and want to help me out. And a lot of them, you know, not a lot of them, some of them, you know, just want their name on the banner or my shorts or whatever. They want to be a part of it. And I'm fortunate and lucky enough to have those people that I can reach out to and that are reaching out to me and willing to support. I have a good support system back home in the Pittsburgh area. So I don't think it's a secret. I think I just got lucky, you know. Luck's involved in a lot of things, and I've just been fortunate to have a good group of people around me.
Sounds like you're good at networking.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people, so.
That's good, man. It's always good to see that, you know what I mean, with fighters. Let's talk about the last performance, man. Anthony Adams. Some people felt like you're going to go in there and steamroll him. You know, you had a great performance, you just didn't finish him. Was there anything tricky about him?
Yeah, I wasn't very happy with the performance. I thought I would have finished him too, especially coming off the momentum from the Romero Cotton fight. And I mean, when I land, I put him down. You know, the very end of the fight, 10 seconds left. You know, I landed just one good shot, put him down right on the chin. So that's all it takes. But he was very evasive. Like, I was calling him a track star after the fight because the dude ran a lot. And he had long arms, too. He wasn't much taller than me, maybe like a half-inch taller than me, maybe an inch at most. So it wasn't a height issue. But he moved back. He had good distance control in the sense that he moved back very quickly. And every time that I showed anything, you know, a feint, I actually committed to the shot, whatever, he just straight back. You go back and watch the fight. I've watched it several times trying to pick it apart to improve going forward. But he just ran straight backwards. And another thing is he would post his hands out like this. And that made it harder to hit him, even if I was closing the distance or keeping up with the pace that he was moving back as I was moving forward. It was just hard to hit him. And looking back on the fight, when he was doing that, probably could have went to the body or to the legs more with kicks or punches to the body. Whenever he was doing that and going backwards, I was trying to hit the overhand right over top of the arm. But it was just hitting off his elbow or catching his tricep or something before it would even hit him. If it hit him, it lost a lot of the steam. So if I got that fight back, that's something I would change. I would go to the body more, and I'd probably wrestle a little bit more too. I was winning the striking exchanges pretty handily. I was comfortable on my feet, but I could have put more pressure on him, made him more tired, and really had him guessing and thinking about that takedown where it would have opened up more shots up top. And he wouldn't have been able to run so much. I would have been able to cut off the cage more, put him on the cage, stuff like that. So there's things that I can learn and I can take away from it, as well as on the grappling side of it. Whenever I did have him down, he was pinning both hands on one wrist against the cage and trapping my arm with his back against the cage on the other side. So I couldn't ground and pound, and I had to like use my knee to pry my hand out to actually start hitting him at the end. He was very evasive or elusive, and he liked to stall. He was good at stalling action. So those are two things that I feel like benefited him in the fight. What ultimately I got the win at the end just wasn't the performance I wanted.
Getting the best of the striking exchanges against the striker, you know, like how much confidence do you gain from that moving forward?
I mean, man, it's MMA. So a lot of people are like, they label a guy on paper a striker or a wrestler. Just because he's a striker and I'm a wrestler doesn't mean that he's a better striker than me. It just means that striking is his best asset. It's what he's best at. But my striking could still be better than his. And then that just means I'm better than him everywhere. It happens a lot. You see people, critics, analysts, whatever, just fans talking about the fights coming up, and they're always labeling me as a wrestler. But every single fight I go in there and I outstrike these dudes too. It's not like I'm just using my takedowns or just using my wrestling to land these strikes. I'm decisively winning these rounds on the feet. Where like I feel like the closest fight striking wise was probably taking numbers out of it, because some of those numbers are skewed. I don't know where they're getting the numbers from. Like Dwayne Johnson, they had it like the first round or two. It looked close with the strike differential where I was still winning, but it was close on I'm like, you go back and watch the fight. I watched the dude doesn't hit me like at all in the first round. And if it is, it's one or two shots at most on the way in whenever I'm throwing 4 and 5 punch combinations. So I don't know where they're getting tallying those stats from, but that aside, Tony Johnson was probably the closest fight in that respect, just because I was respecting his power too much. You know, he knocked Joe Schilling, floored him with that left hook, and he was long, lanky. So that's what I was worried about the whole entire time. I took that away from him and I won the fight. But and I still outstruck him, but it was more of a, you know, I don't want to say point fighting, but it was more of a tactical approach in the striking. But even him, professional boxer with 13 fights, still outstruck him. Outstruck Ty Gorder, who's explosive, dynamic striker. Outstruck Anthony Adams, who's a striker, you know, Muay Thai background. Everybody was talking about how good of a striker and how smooth he is and all this other stuff. Outstruck him. Out-wrestled Romero Cotton. Like, this is MMA. So you have guys that are specialists and they're good in one area, but are they good at mixing it all up? That's the question. So I've showed that I can beat people at their strengths.
Yeah, you definitely have. And now you return August 11th, Bellator 298 against Aaron Jeffries. It feels like you were supposed to fight John Salter, but like he just disappeared for the division, man. What did you think of that switcheroo?
So I believe that was the next fight. I was supposed to get the winner of that fight. And I got offered John Salter on 2 separate occasions. He turned me down. He cleared it up a little bit in the interviews during fight week, where I guess he was dealing with a little bit of an injury and he felt like he wasn't healthy enough to take the fight against me. I don't know how true that is, but that's what's out there right now. And then after he won the fight, that was apparently the next fight for me. And then he just retired. So then I get the loser. It doesn't really make much sense logistically, because he lost the fight. The winner retired, and then now I'm fighting the loser. I'm coming off another win in the top 10. I got 2 top 10 wins in a row. Anthony Adams no longer in the top 10, but he was at the time that I fought him. And then I'm fighting somebody that just lost for a title contention fight. You know, it doesn't really make sense to me. But here we are fighting Aaron Jeffery instead, and just the way it is.
What do you think of Aaron Jeffries, his skill set?
I think he's very mediocre everywhere. He has a good gas tank, and I think that's probably what he's going to try to employ against me. That's going to be his game plan, and I think he's going to go in there and try to get me tired, because people have made that known time and time and time again, where it's like, oh yeah, Dalton Rosta gets tired. We're going to take him to deep water. You know what I mean? I've heard it before. Everybody says it. Everybody says that they're going to try and make me tired. I carry a lot of muscle. They notice that I get tired in my fights, whatever. But it's different when you're in there, man. You could sit there and nitpick and say that I get tired. Everybody gets tired in the fight. Everybody. I don't care who you are. If you're pushing at a high enough pace, you're going to get tired. It's whether you can push through it and battle through it or not. And at the end of the night, when we're both in there and we're both tired and my shots are still heavier and my shots are still faster than his and I'm still stronger than him, we'll see how that trying to wear me down and, you know, gas me works out for him. Didn't work out for the 8 people before him.
What size gloves do you wear? Because it seems like your hands are just like massive. Or am I just tripping out?
No, I'm in between a large and an XL. So the XL fits me better with the hand wraps on, and the large is a little bit snug with them on, but whenever I'm not wearing the hand wraps, the large fits better. However, the large still is on the smaller side, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'd rather have less movement and have it tighter and not fuck up my wrist or my hand, rather than it being a little bit on the looser side. I'm probably more towards an XL, but I fight with a large now. I did fight with XL at first, but my first 3 fights, I decided to change it.
Have you ever seen the fighters that don't even wear the hand wraps and they just wear the gloves in a fight?
Yeah, so it all depends on the state commission, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't been aware of any of that. Like, I haven't even been given an option to not wrap my hands. So I don't know what fights or what commissions do that. Are you aware of what states?
No, I don't. But I just remember fighters walking out, and I noticed that they don't really have any hand wraps underneath the gloves, and they're just fighting pretty much bare knuckle with the cushion.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to make their punch hurt a little bit more, but less stability in their own hands.
Yeah.
So
it's a big risk, right?
Yeah, a little push and pull, a little give and take.
Yeah, the wrist it's not that sturdy. I don't believe, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wrap my hands for training though, like at all. I don't wrap for sparring. I don't wrap for grappling, nothing. And pad work. And people always call me crazy, like my boxing coach. Oh, you don't wrap your hands? Like, no. He's like, you're fucking crazy. And I'm like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
And you haven't fought since December, which means it's like about 8 months or so, which means it gives you a lot of time to go back in the lab, do what you need to do, improve upon things. Was there anything in particular like you focused on before you actually got into this camp for this fight?
No, I was just trying to overall improve everywhere. And I mean, there was obviously holes that I've seen that I can improve on in my last fight, but there's things that I do on a daily basis and overall as a fighter that I think I needed to improve on, and I did that as well. And that's another thing going forward. This fight, if people think that they're going to see the same Dalton Rosta as the last fight, they're not gonna. It's been 9 months. I wanted to fight earlier, but 9 months is a long time. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a completely different fighter whenever I'm in there, learn new tricks, and there's still tricks that I've had in my back pocket in these fights that I haven't used because nobody's forced me to. I haven't had my back put up against the wall. I haven't really faced that much adversity. And not saying that I never will. I actually want that to happen. You know what I mean? I want to see what happens, what I'm capable of whenever my back's put against the wall like that. And nobody's just been able to put me there yet. So whenever we do, we'll see a lot of the tricks coming out of my back pocket.
Who have you been training with mostly for this camp, like training partner wise?
I've kind of just been training with whoever, because this dude, he has a really basic style. He throws, a double jab 2, a 1-3-2, a 1-3 hook, a double jab hook, and throws leg kicks. Now he tries to hold people up against the cage too. I noticed when he fought Rex Harris, who's a more muscular wrestler, he fought Andre Petrosky. Even he tried to do it against John Salter, but it didn't work. He tries to take these wrestlers or these more muscular guys and put them against the cage and wear them down, dirty box there. So we were doing a little bit of drilling that, working there against the cage during sparring, doing a little bit of Shark Tanks recently in Pittsburgh with guys trying to hold me against the cage and a fresh guy coming in and sparring with me in the open, and then another guy wrestling. So we've been switching it. There's nobody in particular, but I have been sparring with Johnny Eblen a lot recently, and sparred with Mike Lombardo. Glyco Franca has been helping me with circuits. Like, we do these circuits where I'm hitting the pads with the coach, and then I'll have a wrestling or grappling partner, and they put me in a bad position. So I'll exhaust my arms, get super tired on the pads, and then next thing you know, I have a fresh guy on me against the wall. And he's trying to tap me out. He's trying to I don't want to say hurt me, but he's going 100%. And I have to deal with that, and I have to fight through adversity doing that. And it really pushes your gas tank. It really tests your will. It tests your heart. And yeah, so going forward in this fight, I'm bulletproof in everything.
If you're doing that, man, no one could really question the gas tank, man, because that circuit is heavy.
Yeah, this is gonna be the best shape I've ever been in for a fight period, and I've been in good shape the past few fights. I don't know how anybody could look at my past few fights and think that I got tired. There was a few fights where I watched back and I'm like, yeah, I started to fade a little bit. But thinking back on my mentality during the fight, I wasn't thinking I was tired during the fight. You know what I mean? I was still pushing, and I was still winning the round, and I was still, I was like, okay, I'm tired, but I'm gonna go. So they want to pick that apart, and they want to try and use that as an advantage or as their game plan, they're going to be in for a rude awakening come August 11th.
With the way the division is lining up, and you win this fight, you could be fighting for the title next. So what are your expectations out of yourself?
I want to get a finish. There's another thing with this fight. I'm 8-0. I've never been beat. I've never been put in a position where I've showed that I can be beat. There's really no game plan drawn up to beat me. You know what I mean? And I'm constantly doing new things in these fights. You don't know if you're gonna get the wrestle out of me. You don't know if you're gonna get a striker. You don't know if I'm gonna mix it up. I haven't even really showed off any of my submissions yet, so they don't know what to expect there. On top of that, he's 13-4. He's been beat 4 times, all 4 times by good grapplers. Hyon, he's a good striker too, but he's a grappler. He beat him in the striking, but he's a good grappler too. Landed some takedowns. Every single fight he's lost been against a grappler. Sean Brady, John Salter, and his teammate now,
Brendan Allen.
Brendan Allen, yes. I don't know why his name's slipping me, but he showed he can be out grappled. There's blueprints to beat him, and they all beat him in different ways. You know what I mean? They're all grapplers, but they all beat him in different ways. And Hyon outstruck him pretty bad. And I see him he was getting outstruck by Andre Petrosky too, in their fight for LFA. And Andre Petrosky ended up gassing. But like I said, that's not going to happen here. And so we got a good game plan drawn up. There's a lot of blueprints to beat him. And he's been beat 4 times. You know what I mean? He can be beat again. I haven't really showed a weakness. There's no game plan to beat me.
You mentioned Johnny Eblen. He's the champ of the division. Man, I've interviewed both you guys multiple times. I enjoy the talks that we have, and eventually that's a collision course down the line, right? At what point do you guys decide, like, hey, we're not going to train with each other anymore? It's like we need to focus on ourselves.
I mean, it's a possibility. But listen, Johnny makes me better. I'm just going to put it out there. He makes me better. He's a good fighter. He's well-rounded, good gas tank. He pushes me. It's always good rounds. It's always good wrestling. It's always good striking. Everything's always great rounds. So if I'm going to limit myself as a fighter just because there's a possibility that we fight, that just doesn't make sense to me. There's the potential's there, yeah, but there's so many moving parts that we don't know what's going to happen. But yes, we acknowledge that the potential's there, that we could fight. But I'm not going to sit there and limit my potential as a fighter myself and my growth in the gym when I have one of the best guys in the world to train with all the time. It doesn't make sense to me. If we end up getting offered that fight and, you know, it comes down to it and there's circumstances are the way they are, well, obviously we're not going to train with each other for an upcoming fight. Or if they say okay, the next fight after this one, you guys are going to fight each other. You know, maybe it might be time to take a step back and look over things. But as of now, I'm taking advantage of all my sparring partners. I'm taking advantage of all my teammates, all my coaches, the gym, the facility, all my resources, period, to become the best fighter I possibly can. And at the end of the day, like I said, you don't know. Yeah, we're on a collision course right now, but something can get derailed, or not even so much that. Circumstances could change. You know, maybe he goes up a weight class. Maybe I go up a weight class. Maybe he goes to UFC. Maybe he changes a different promotion. You know, there's, like I said, there's a bunch of different moving parts. And I'm not going to limit my training partners because of that right now.
I love the mentality, man. You guys both have really, really good mentalities, and American Top Team is just incredible. Just you guys being there. I'm not even going to list the other people. What do you think is going to happen? Bellator 299, Johnny Eblen, Davian Edwards.
I think Johnny's going to beat him. I'd be very surprised if it went any other way. But Johnny's probably going to out-wrestle him, probably put a pace on him that he maybe might be able to keep up with for 3 rounds. But round 4 and 5, probably going to become a little bit difficult and probably going to get finished. That's my prediction. You know, this is MMA. Anything can happen. But I'm confident that Johnny will win that.
All right. August 11th, Bellator 298, South Dakota. Dalton, man, appreciate the time, man. And yeah, man, it's just crazy to watch the rise of you throughout the division. And man, it's going to be many, many more years of it. So I'm excited for you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on. It's always a good time talking, and had a good time.